Antoine, my guy.
Man, Moise, what's the word? I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Well, thank you for coming to my studio
Yes,
at
sir.
my house.
Hey, I'm loving it.
Hey, before we get going, I got on my favorite pair of shoes.
Hey, the
Ants
classic
Creates.
joints right there. The AC Loom Blazers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir, ski.
I only wear them on special occasions, so today is a special occasion.
I love that. I love that.
All right, let's get into it. I got a couple questions for you for this conversation, and this year has been, at least from the outside looking in, it's been an incredible year for you. A lot of traveling, a lot of movement. You've been able to get outside of Minnesota. So I'd love to hear how your experience has been outside of just these four walls that is Minnesota. What have you learned? What have you wished, I wish we were doing that over here? And what do you wish you saw back here at home?
Man, traveling has been a lot. I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of opportunities just been given to me just to at least take the blessing to leave Minnesota first off. And in each and every spot I've gone to, from like January of going to Miami, then going to AZ for Super Bowl weekend, then New York a week after, like all of this has like really shown me, like in the mix of that and like elevating, I've really learning to like find myself in the industry and where I want to plant my flag. One thing I could say to answer your last question about like how has this learning like affected me and like how has it affected me being in Minneapolis, I feel like some things that we can adapt to is, coming together collectively as a community and not necessarily focusing on collab, but just also just being more open to accepting one another for the differences and the goals that they're trying to create and helping elevating each other one way or another. Even if it's not even friendship, like everything doesn't have to be a friendship. It can be a business play where we're helping each other elevate and getting money in our pockets. But us as a creative, all the creative scenes from like anything that's not sports needs to be like cohesively working somehow together business-wise to make more money available for everyone around in our creative. Because right now there's not enough money in the creative world where we live it, but there's a lot of talent here.
Yeah. You touched on two very important words or phrases, industry
Yep.
and business and community. When I think about those words, Minnesota doesn't have any industry when it comes to fashion or music. We just have incubated a supreme amount of talent that is here. And as we head into like this next era that you're helping shape, that Skntones helping shape, how can we transition from just having really great talent to actually having access to capital and actually building that capital within our communities to then, I think, really flip the switch as far as where everyone can go?
I think it comes from our audience. I feel like all of us share the same amount of fans and supporters, and I feel like it comes from them actually, growing out to, pushing beyond the people that actually need to get pushed. Those people need to get heavily pushed and supported, regardless if you know the person or not. But I feel like it all comes from that person, because if they're all only idolizing and wanting to like support these sports programs or sports, but not also giving the same respect or enthusiasm for someone that's being a musician or someone that's being an artist, even if you don't understand, it's the fact of like you being supportive or passing that message off to the next person.
Ooh, like we have many friends that will pay like $200, $300 to go watch a Timberwolves game or go to a Vikings game,
like
or
our
to the
culture,
club.
our nightlife culture is even. That's another thing that pisses me off too. Is like our nightlife culture doesn't influence our artists, even when it comes to music, specifically music itself, because there's a lot of talented people here, but none of these places are like influencing or trying to get artists to come in their space to activate their space or to like get these entertainment. But they'll pay $10,000 or $5,000 for an internet influencer just to walk through their spot.
Yeah,
that doesn't make no sense to me, because if you have a local legend, why not just keep them flooded? And like even with First Ave, like it's cool to have that, but most people want to go out to have fun and like, socialize. Like even if you have, for instance, you walk through to sing a couple songs, but you're hosting that night to get some money to hosting that actual concert, that's enough to still create buzz and get you into a new fan base that just, hey, I might just discover I got a feature with somebody, Yeah. Or just like you create your space in that environment where it's like, this is a safety space for all of us to like, blossom and grow. Because everybody wants the industry here, but it's like, are you ready for it? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you really ready for it?
I know what you're saying. Because with the industry part, there comes other pressures.
For sure.
And then, the atmosphere kind of changes.
For sure.
But I want to touch on that club point. There's been so many times where I'm hearing the same mix. I'm hearing the same songs I may be hearing on Spotify, Rap KVR, but I'm not hearing, like, what's being produced here in Minneapolis. Like, why am I not hearing that while I'm outside too? And why aren't those artists, like, being pushed to, maybe you don't need to have them host every night, right? But maybe putting together like a curated event, or having them pop out for like 2 songs, just to like give them a platform, and also just put on within your community, and let that flourish.
100% agree.
Well, you and your team have been doing your part. Skntones is coming up on celebrating 3 years, I believe.
Yeah, 3.
I've been able to have the pleasure of seeing that growth happen from like the very first party event all the way to y'all helping me out with a music video for Cell Phone Receiver, and then obviously many more collaborations to come. Can you walk us through that growth within Skntones, within yourself, how it's affected you, and highlight the impact you've already seen and the results you've seen within the community? Like, there's so much buzz. Like, every time you come to an event, it's all good energy, and that's something that's been built over 3 years. So just highlight that for us.
Honestly, this 3 years feels like it's damn near been a school year. Like, every month is you're getting slapped with something new. Like, I feel like it's one school year, but really it's been three years all in total. But like, honestly, it's been amazing to see the growth from where we were to where we are, especially just looking at old content that, just to give this a formula, like, a lot of shit you guys have seen, you guys have not seen any of the shit that we actually have put away. Because we've been sitting on content for like 3 years that we've just been fucking lost about trying to get it out there the right way, and then also trying to still move on to make money for our business, but then also like get our business shit lined up and then line up for the future. Like, there's a lot good that happens, and we're still learning for sure. But, from the beginning, when we're just in a basement to like talking about ideas, to now like executing, or to like our first project, a big project as an agency, to working with Rock Nation, to then working with Kanye West on their first high school basketball game at the Target Center, like in our backyard, and we're the ones making this shit happen. Like, this shit it gets crazy. It's just like mind blowing, and to see like the things that we imagined were all manifested from like the ideas that we'd even think were true. Or like how the fuck we never even knew how any of this stuff was gonna happen, but we were gonna figure out and be mad and just be talking shit to each other, staying up all night, like waking up hungry, not showering for a week, or like going to projects, not showering, sleeping on the floor, like making shit happen. Like, it's been a lot of like ups and downs for sure, but like the ups has brought us to a point of like us coming from such a humble spot has made us so resilient to the point where we can see any obstacle and we're figuring out a solution. And the best thing about having such a strong team and a foundation around me has been that my evolution has grown so fast from being where I was, like even my maturity level about like business and being emotional with it, like being an artist, versus like taking my emotions out of a business decision to make something
That's
logical.
very hard to do.
And that's very hard to do, especially being an artist. I love that Skntones has been elevating me, and it's making me understand how the industry works, negotiating business-wise to like artist-wise, and then also seeing like how to take someone from 0 to 10 to 10 to 50 to 50 to 100. And we're still understanding this, but eventually like all this is going to be developing, we're going to be developing talent. And that's one of our end goals, is to be developing talent to create that industry level of artistry that's coming from Minnesota, coming out the right way, the way that people want to see, the way you're competing with the Drake. Because that's also another stigma about our city, is people automatically have these like comparisons to these big ass people with all this history of background. Like, we should be like Atlanta, we should do this. Atlanta's been doing this collaboration shit and getting their own people on for years, ever since this industry has fucking started. Like, it damn near comes, like Black Hollywood comes from Atlanta, and all that started from the generation, the couple generations before us, that was all rapping and trying to aspire, like, you know what I'm saying, chase their dreams of like being, you know, dancers or musicians or whatever it is, and they were supporting them for whatever role that they were to that person. Because one person get $1 million, that can fund 10,000 people. That's a lot of fucking bread,
That
especially
really
through
can.
one person. Like one artist can be one job stream for all of one community.
Yeah.
Little do people know.
Yeah.
Like if you have a hit song and you have a whole album, like you get 100 mil off that, bro. You can hire a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
You're
Change
a
a lot of
powerhouse
people's
to your
lives.
community.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like if people start thinking like that, and not necessarily like trying to force relationships, because I don't believe in that either. But like, you know, just naturally making this shit all community like based, and think about our end goal, which is all of us trying to have an industry and a voice for Minnesota. I think we will all progressively move towards the lighter thing of what we're all trying to hit.
Ooh, you touched on your time, because you are not only part of Skntones, but also Ants Creates, making dope shoes like this, making the clothes I see on you right now. Talk to us about being able to maximize your time. I think manage your time is not the best phrase, because how can you manage your time? You don't know how much time you have left.
You really don't.
But yeah, how have you been able to navigate that? Because I know your plate is full. And you got to make some priorities. You got to make some sacrifices too. So how has that been navigating over the past year or so?
I say last year I was probably struggling the worst, like probably the most I have since college, outside of it trying to like get projects and then doing Skntones and projects not falling through. And then that's time wasted, but then you still got rent in those 30 days that you're trying to get back from somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like I got in a car accident, my first car accident, lost my car. Then I started working at Nordstrom, and then I officially quit May 24th. And that was my that was my retirement letter of saying that I'm no longer working. Like, I'm going to go all in on.
You're still working.
I'm retiring from a corporate job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I am always working.
Yes.
Guaranteed.
Yes.
I was basically, so I not too long ago, I recently just quit my job, and I was like, I love Nordstrom, and obviously I want to grow to get my my brand, either Ants or Skntones, within there as a retailer brand. I know that what I'm trying to do in my lifetime, that I have to focus on elevating me personally and just believing more of myself and my skill, and hustling for the stuff that I deserve. No longer lowballing myself for projects that I know that my skill set speaks for. Even if it's not here, I can find it somewhere else. That's the power of the internet. Yeah. But just to circle back on the whole year, I feel like right now compared to where I was last year, I'm in a hungrier state, and I know that this position that I am right now is just only going to elevate me to that next part, that next pivot. And I feel like, I don't know what it is, but I know this pivot, and when I quit my job, I said this for a reason, that I'm ready for that next stepping stone. Yeah.
And that next pivot.
Anyway, I didn't answer your question about balance.
Go ahead.
Balance. How to manage my time is, I don't know, I just have a gut feeling of what I know and need to get done. Every day, I came from a basketball background where I need to get in the gym every day or somebody else is beating at me. So if I'm not getting reps in painting or exercising my mind with getting these ideas off to my team, or talking, brainstorming, how do we make this elevate better, or how do I move better off of from even just a party last weekend, how do I move better in my presence and talking or communicating with people, or my presentation, or me DJing, I only build my time around things that I can build a skill for. But then I also, when I'm not working towards my skill, I take the time to balance myself out with things that I actually enjoy, I enjoy being around, that fulfills me. So if it's being around my friends, if it's, if it's smoking za a little bit, if it's, going out to have parties, or playing with music, those things fulfill my mental state. So I'm mentally happy and not just worried about the everyday things that we can worry about life. Because then if I'm not happy, then I'm not creating.
If he's not happy,
he's not creating.
You've been fortunate to have a lot of mentors, I believe, the last time we talked, and role models that have been able to shape and influence the way you've been able to achieve what you have so far. More to come. How were you able to find those mentors? What were the lessons that they shared upon you? Maybe you can just highlight a couple of those moments. And then, as you continue to progress in your career, and as Skntones continues to accomplish the things that they're set out to accomplish, there's going to be many people coming up to you asking how'd you do this? How'd you do that?
For sure.
So talk to us about those mentors in your life, and then you're slowly going to become that person too. The roles are going to reverse. So drop that wisdom on us.
Okay, so one, I take all success stories in and just translate it to me. So like even if it's Kobe or if it's something, like I always just like find some reason like how I can connect those success stories for me. I went to college, but I went to North Dakota and I dropped out. And I didn't really have people I can just walk up to or relationships where, hey, you know this person, this business person, can you connect me with this? It's more so like I have to find it, like do a dig research and do my own thing. For instance, one of our mentors for Skntones, his name is John, he's the owner of Blue Dot Furniture. And how we met him was we were doing a tour to find a space, and we seen 2 Porsches outside after me and Fawn already did our walk around. Like we're walking around this northeast area after we did our like spy house meeting with about the AC cooler, and we're like, yo, this is a dope place. I wonder if they'll do a collaboration with us or like let us design a bike or some shit, because it was in the window. Yeah. So then like a couple weeks go by, we ended up just doing a walkthrough of the building next to it, and we ended up seeing those 2 Porsches outside, and they were talking. And I was like, Fawn, those got to be the owners. So it was like all of us is like, got to be. So Fawn just walks up towards them and just asks him like, yo, would you live down to talk, whatever, da, da, da. Fast forward, after we have a face-to-face meeting, he ends up wanting to be one of our mentors. Wow. And just like one of that, it's just been like, being that.
And you weren't in that moment. You weren't necessarily invited. It was like opportunity was in front of you. Exactly. And being able to recognize that and being like, okay, I have nothing to lose. Let me just spark up a conversation. Let me just be me. Exactly. And see how it goes.
Exactly. And then, bringing that same approach, we've always had that same approach with meeting celebrities or, business people or wherever. If it's like running into Gary Vee at VCon, I'm walking up to Gary like, yo, this is what we do. This is who I am, like this is the brand. And even if it's like a 30-second, not even 30-second, because half these guys, it's like 1-2 words that you have to come across. Like, yeah. So you have to bring that energy off the rip, because that's what they're reading off of you first before you say a word. So like learning that time to pitch ourselves and just going through those trials and tribulations of traveling to like pitch ourselves to these celebrities or these brand people, and then coming back to like that point, it was just like a full circle moment. So like, and then now we're also have a mentor with a ad agency, Mono, and Jim is like one of our main mentors. Yeah, exactly.
Charisma.
And he's been helping us out about like figuring out how to tell our story and just figure out our brand and just understanding who we are and like pushing us to find our vision within the company and the agency side. And these people are always there to help. And honestly, it's like there is a gap between our generation and the older generation, and it just comes to the like, put your egos aside and really be willing to like being intentional about the questions you ask, because then when you're being intentional, they'll always figure out a way to help you and be genuine about the way they help you.
Yeah. Well said, my man. Well said.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a great conversation.
That was quick.
Yeah, it is quick.
That was very quick.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming by.
Hey man, this is very awesome. I also want to advertise. If anybody else wants to come on here, y'all come on here. Follow Skntones, Skntones. I know he'll drop it down below. Follow my page with all of my art and my paintings. Ant's Creations. I will be hosting my own gallery here. Buy my art. I'm broke.
Hey, stay tuned.
Coming soon this summer, man. Yeah. And also we got some new AC Cooler content coming out.
Yes, we do.
Hey, this whole summer just working, and like I said, support your artists, support your peoples. Even if you don't know somebody, just be willing to do something that you haven't done. Get out your comfort zone, and we're only gonna elevate.
Amen. All right, my boy.